15 car brands are going bankrupt right now, and if you're thinking about buying from any of these companies, you could be stuck with a worthless vehicle and no warranty support when they disappear forever. Right now, while you're watching this video, automotive executives are holding emergency board meetings, laying off thousands of workers, and quietly preparing bankruptcy paperwork for brands that have been household names for decades. We're not talking about small startups. We're talking about companies that built America's automotive legacy. Meet Robert, a loyal customer who bought a brand new SUV from one of these failing companies just 6 months ago. He paid $48,000 and thought he was getting a reliable family vehicle with a solid warranty. Last week, Robert discovered his manufacturer is closing dealerships, parts are becoming impossible to find, and his lifetime warranty might not be worth the paper it's printed on. But here's what Robert doesn't know, and what these companies desperately hope you'll never discover. The warning signs have been flashing red for months. Plummeting sales, massive recalls, dealer revolts, and financial losses so severe that some brands are burning through cash faster than they can borrow it. The automotive graveyard is about to get 13 new headstones, and customers who bought from these companies are about to learn the expensive difference between a car company and a car company that actually exists tomorrow. The question isn't which car brands are failing. It's whether you'll recognize the warning signs before you become their next victim. Across the country, the boardrooms of America's biggest car brands are in lockdown. Phones confiscated, doors closed, executives huddle around spreadsheets that look more like obituaries than business plans. The mood is tense. In Detroit, Tokyo, and Stuttgart, the whispers are all the same. Which brand gets cut loose next? At Nissan's global headquarters, the CEO warns of an extremely tough situation and calls for drastic restructuring. An anonymous executive tells reporters the company might have just 12 months to survive. Meanwhile, at Stellantis, the parent company behind Chrysler, Fiat, and Maserati, North American losses have stretched into the billions. Chrysler's own headquarters is rumored to be up for sale. Fiat's European factories sit idle, their fate hanging by a thread. The numbers tell the story. In 2025 alone, over 15,000 automotive jobs have vanished in the US and Europe. That's not just factory workers. Engineers, designers, and entire dealership networks are being wiped out in a matter of weeks. Buick has bought out half its US dealers rather than invest in electric vehicles. Infiniti has lost 47 dealerships in 6 months, leaving entire states without a single showroom. Lincoln, once a symbol of American luxury, now sells mostly to rental fleets. Behind the scenes, suppliers are demanding cash up front, no more 30-day terms. When parts makers lose faith, the countdown begins. For brands like Fisker, Polestar, and Lucid, the panic is visible. Missed bond payments, share prices in free fall, and workforce cuts of up to 15%, all in the last year. Fisker's CEO admits in SEC filings that survival past the next quarter is in doubt. Polestar's value has collapsed by 83% since 2022. Even legacy names aren't safe. Nissan's global losses top $5 billion this year, with debts and pension shortfalls piling up. Jaguar's parent company faces more than £2.7 billion in debt coming due within 18 months. Mitsubishi's US dealer network is shrinking, and executives in Japan warn of major capital moves if the bleeding doesn't stop. The warning signs are everywhere. Brands disappearing from investor calls, new model launches canceled, product pipelines drying up. When a company stops talking about its own future, insiders know what comes next. Dealer groups are dumping unstable brands, issuing memos to stop ordering new inventory. Internal board minutes, when they leak, show bitter arguments over whether to wind down or gamble on one last rescue. For the average car buyer, these corporate battles are invisible until the day their local dealership shutters or a warranty claim is denied because the manufacturer no longer exists. The collapse isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's lost jobs, broken promises, and families stranded with cars nobody wants to buy or repair. In this crisis, there are two sides: the executives scrambling to save their bonuses, and the millions of drivers left holding the bag. The next time you see a familiar badge on the road, ask yourself, will it still be here next year, or is it just another name about to be erased from the automotive map? Robert thought he'd done everything right. He spent $48,000 on a brand new SUV from a dealership that had been in the same spot for decades. The sales pitch promised reliability, a bumper-to-bumper warranty, and the kind of family security you're supposed to get for that kind of money. 6 months later, Robert's world turned upside down. The dealership where he bought his car was shuttered overnight. The sign came down, the website vanished, and calls to the service department went straight to voicemail. When Robert tried to schedule a routine warranty repair, he hit a wall. The next closest authorized shop was over 200 miles away, and even they couldn't get the parts. The manufacturer's website now displayed a vague service network transition notice, but no one could say who, if anyone, would honor his warranty. The lifetime powertrain coverage he paid extra for? Worthless. The fine print said it was only valid at participating dealers, and there were none left within driving distance. As weeks dragged on, Robert joined online forums filled with owners in the same boat. Some had cars stuck in their driveway, waiting for electronic modules or battery packs that were now impossible to source. Others posted photos of letters from the manufacturer, apologizing for temporary service disruptions that never seemed to end. One woman wrote that her luxury sedan needed a $2,800 repair, but the part was back-ordered indefinitely. She'd been told to consider alternative transportation. Resale value plummeted. When Robert asked about trading in his SUV, the local used car manager just laughed. No dealer wanted to touch a brand that might not exist by Christmas. Auction data showed prices for orphaned vehicles dropping 40 to 70% in a matter of months. Insurance companies started raising premiums or refusing coverage altogether, citing the risk of unrepairable accidents and missing recall fixes. The sense of betrayal ran deep. Robert had trusted the badge, the handshake, the promises in glossy brochures. Now, every time he drove past the empty lot where his dealership once stood, he felt like a sucker. Meanwhile, the executives who made the decisions were nowhere to be found. Offices closed, phones disconnected, bonuses paid out before the collapse. The people left holding the bag were folks like Robert, teachers, nurses, small business owners, all just trying to keep their families moving. Stories like Robert's aren't rare. They're multiplying as more brands circle the drain. Owners are stranded, warranties are worthless, and the burden falls on regular Americans who played by the rules. If you want to avoid the same trap, make sure you subscribe so they don't take you for a ride on your next car buy. And don't forget to download my free guide in the description, 17 car brands to avoid in 2025. Because the next bankruptcy could be closer than you think. Sales numbers are falling off a cliff. In 2025, Infinity's US sales dropped another 23% year over year, with volume now less than a third of what it was just 6 years ago. Jaguar's global deliveries have collapsed to under 27,000 vehicles, down from 180,000 in 2018, a slide that leaves entire regions without a single new car on offer. Buick has shed more than half its US dealer network since 2023, as hundreds of franchises took buyouts rather than gamble on an electric future that may never materialize. Recalls are piling up. Genesis recalled nearly 95,000 cars in 2024 for electrical failures that cause sudden shutdowns and glitchy infotainment. Polestar's battery and software recalls have left owners waiting months for repairs, with some modules now back-ordered indefinitely. At Fisker, more than 70% of the Ocean SUVs built in 2024 are subject to at least one open recall, and the company's own filings admit it cannot guarantee parts or service for the vehicles it's still trying to sell. Dealer exits are accelerating. In just 18 months, Genesis lost 22 exclusive dealerships, almost 1 in 5. Infinity's 47 dealer exodus in half a year has left entire states, like Nebraska and Maine, without a single authorized service point. Lincoln's retail network has shrunk so much that rental agencies now buy more cars than private customers. For Mitsubishi, the U.S. dealer count is on track to fall below 285 by year-end, down from 325 in 2023. Leaked supplier memos show parts makers demanding cash up front from Chrysler and Maserati, ending decades of trust-based credit. Internal emails at Polestar and Fisker reveal frantic attempts to negotiate payment plans just to keep assembly lines moving. Auction data shows orphaned brands losing up to 70% of their value in weeks. This isn't just a dip, it's a free fall. The warning lights aren't blinking anymore. They're stuck on red. The next domino to fall could be a badge you see in your own driveway. Suppliers are the first to sense when a car company's days are numbered. In 2025, parts makers who once extended 30, 60, even 90 days of credit to brands like Chrysler and Maserati now demand cash up front. No invoice, no shipment, no exceptions. For decades, this industry ran on trust and handshake deals. That trust is gone. When a supplier refuses to float credit, they're not just protecting themselves, they're sounding the silent alarm that a collapse is underway. Internal memos from Tier 1 suppliers show a growing list of brands on what's called COD only, cash on delivery. That means every battery, every transmission, every critical chip must be paid for before it leaves the warehouse. It's not just startups facing this squeeze. Even legacy names, Jaguar, Mitsubishi, and Fiat, have found themselves blacklisted from the old credit lines. In July, a leaked email from a major electronics supplier warned staff to halt all shipments to Polestar and Fisker until overdue invoices were cleared. By then, production lines had already slowed to a crawl. This isn't a minor accounting headache. When a car company can't buy parts on credit, every day becomes a scramble to find cash. Miss a payment, and assembly lines go dark. Miss two, and the brand's fate is sealed. Analysts call this the pressure cooker phase, the final warning before bankruptcy filings hit the headlines. The public never sees it coming, but insiders know the drill. First the suppliers pull back, then the dealerships, then the lights go out for good. If you're shopping for a new car, pay close attention to these invisible tremors. When suppliers lose faith, it's only a matter of time before customers are left stranded. Don't let yourself become the next victim. Make sure you subscribe so they don't take you for a ride on your next car buy. And grab my free guide in the description, 17 car brands to avoid in 2025. Your next vehicle should be an investment, not a liability. The countdown to the first brand on our list starts now. Sliding into the early danger tier is Genesis, a brand that stormed onto the American luxury scene less than a decade ago, promising to outclass BMW and Lexus with bold design and lower prices. But the shine is fading fast. In the second quarter of 2025, Genesis U.S. sales fell 11% year over year, breaking its streak of growth and landing it in the red while its rivals post gains. Dealers are voting with their feet. The exclusive Genesis retailer count peaked at 120 in late 2023, but by this summer, only 98 remain. That's nearly 1 in 5 dealers gone in just 18 months. Exit interviews blame expensive showroom upgrades, slow delivery of new models, and a lack of faith in the brand's staying power. The real warning sign comes from Hyundai itself. On recent investor calls, executives barely mention Genesis, focusing instead on Kia and Hyundai's electrification plans. Analysts say when a parent company stops talking about its luxury arm, it's the first step toward the chopping block. No new Genesis models were announced at the 2025 New York or Shanghai auto shows. Instead, the brand is described as under portfolio review. industry code for a future that's anything but certain. Mitsubishi isn't far behind. The brand's US sales have flatlined, and the dealer network is shrinking, down to an expected 285 by year's end, from 325 in 2023. Mitsubishi's Tokyo boardroom is now focused on Asia, leaving American dealers and owners in the dark. Recent management statements talk about major capital moves in the next year. That's corporate speak for a possible exit. Then there's Alfa Romeo. The Italian badge still turns heads, but the numbers are ugly. US sales are down 32% this year, and Stellantis, the parent company, has flagged Alfa as non-core. Dealer withdrawals in the US accelerated in the second quarter, and management is openly evaluating Alfa's long-term future. When a company's own executives question whether a brand belongs in the family, owners need to pay attention. These three names, Genesis, Mitsubishi, Alfa Romeo, may not grab headlines like some of the giants, but the data is clear. Sales are shrinking, dealers are disappearing, and parent companies are quietly distancing themselves. If you're shopping for a new car, don't assume a luxury badge or a familiar nameplate will protect you from the fallout. Early danger doesn't mean low risk. It means the clock is already ticking, and when the end comes, it won't be gentle. Number 12 on the danger list is Rivian, a name that once promised to reinvent the American truck. The hype was real. Wall Street poured in billions, Amazon ordered 100,000 delivery vans, and early buyers lined up for the R1T pickup. But in 2025, the math stopped working. Rivian posted a net loss of $3.1 billion in the first half of the year, burning through over $800 million every quarter. Production targets keep slipping. The Normal, Illinois plant sits well below capacity, churning out a fraction of what was promised. Every truck and SUV costs more to build than it sells for. Analysts warn that, at this pace, Rivian's cash reserves, just $6.8 billion in June, can vanish in under 12 months. Suppliers are already demanding payment in advance. The company's own CFO admitted on an earnings call that continued operations depend on new capital. That's corporate speak for "we're running out of road." Rivian's biggest backer, Amazon, has quietly scaled back its van orders. Ford, once an investor, dumped its entire stake in 2024. Layoffs have swept through headquarters and the factory floor, with more than 10% of the workforce cut since January. The promised next-generation R2 platform is delayed again, now pushed to late 2026, if the company survives that long. For owners, the warning signs are everywhere. Service centers are closing, software updates lag, and parts are taking months to arrive. On owner forums, stories of stranded trucks and denied warranty claims are piling up. If Rivian files, those $80,000 pickups could become driveway ornaments overnight. Lucid is next at number 11, another electric dream running out of juice. In 2024, Lucid lost $2.6 billion, and the bleeding hasn't stopped. The company's Arizona factory, built to crank out 50,000 sedans a year, barely managed 8,000 in the last 12 months. Each Air sedan sold cost the company nearly $200,000 to build, double the sticker price. Cash on hand is down to $1.2 billion, with a burn rate that could empty the vault in less than a year. CEO Peter Rawlinson admits that significant new capital is needed by mid-2026, but investors are losing patience fast. Lucid's lifeline is Saudi money, but even that comes with strings. The Public Investment Fund is pushing for cost cuts and a pivot to cheaper models, but the Gravity SUV is already delayed, and the mid-market Lucid isn't coming soon enough. Meanwhile, lawsuits from unpaid suppliers are stacking up, and reports of delayed paychecks for contractors have surfaced in industry blogs. Owners face a shrinking service network, slow parts shipments, and growing uncertainty about software support. If Lucid goes under, The high-tech features that set it apart, over-the-air updates, advanced driver aids, could be bricked by a server shutdown, turning a $100,000 luxury car into a very expensive paperweight. Both Rivian and Lucid rode the EV wave to the top of the market, but now they're caught in a riptide of debt, missed targets, and vanishing investor trust. The stakes for buyers couldn't be higher. If you're thinking about one of these brands, remember, bankruptcy doesn't just hit the boardroom, it lands in your driveway. And the next brands on this list aren't faring any better. Ford, once the backbone of American manufacturing, now faces a future clouded by mounting costs and shrinking margins. In 2025, its financial distress risk climbed past 4%. The new United Auto Workers contract added $1.4 billion to annual labor expenses, while Ford's cash burn, over $800 million every quarter, threatens to outpace reserves by next year's end. The F-150 and Explorer still move units, but profits are razor thin. Billions poured into electric vehicles have yet to yield returns. The Model E division lost $1.3 billion in the first half of 2025, and new electric vehicle launches have been quietly pushed back. If the truck business falters, Ford's scale won't shield it from a reckoning. Chrysler, at number 9, has dwindled to just 2 models in the US, the Pacifica and the 300. Stellantis, its parent, reported a $1.1 billion loss for North America in 2024. Headquarters in Auburn Hills may be up for sale, and suppliers now demand cash up front. 3 major vendors filed claims for late payments this summer. Stellantis has signaled that patience is running out. If losses persist into 2026, Chrysler could be spun off or dissolved, leaving only a badge behind. Fiat lands at 8. The Italian brand's US presence is almost gone, and European sales have dropped 25% this year. The Mirafiori plant in Turin sits idle, with production mothballed and unions anxious. Stellantis props up Fiat with group cash, but no turnaround is in sight. The 500e electric car is a last-ditch effort in the US, but dealer interest is weak and inventory is piling up. If Fiat vanishes, parts and service will disappear quickly, dragging down resale values. Maserati, once a symbol of Italian luxury, has seen global sales halved since 2023, just 20,000 units sold last year. The brand posted a $185 million loss in 2024. Stellantis executives warn another capital injection is needed if demand doesn't recover. Reports suggest Maserati could be spun off or sold. Owners face a shrinking lineup, rising repair costs, and the risk of orphaned models. Mazda closes out this tier. After a $4.2 billion bailout in 2020, Mazda still lacks competitive electric models and holds a small US footprint. Sales have stalled, and cash reserves are dwindling. Analysts estimate less than 18 months of liquidity remain without a major rebound or rescue. Even familiar names now teeter on the edge. Jaguar, once a symbol of British luxury and speed, now faces a crisis that few could have imagined. In 2025, global sales have collapsed to just 26,800 vehicles, marking an 85% plunge from their 2018 peak. Tata Motors, Jaguar's parent, is staring down £2.75 billion in debt, due within 18 months. Cash reserves are thinning fast, with burn rates near £100 million each month. UK suppliers warn of missed payments, and rumors swirl about the Whitley campus being put up for sale. The all-electric Pivot, once hailed as a lifeline, has become a weight dragging the brand under. With no new models on the horizon, insiders whisper that only a last-minute intervention could keep Jaguar alive. Infiniti is fading even faster. Since 2019, sales have dropped 63%. In just 6 months, 47 US dealers have closed, leaving entire states without a single showroom. Nissan, Infiniti's parent, is fighting its own battle, absorbing Infiniti's losses into a $5.3 billion global deficit. Internal documents describe Infiniti's US strategy as under active review, a phrase that signals retreat. Owners are redirected to Nissan dealers, but the brand is missing from future product plans. When a luxury badge vanishes from showrooms and boardrooms alike, its disappearance from the road is only a matter of time. Polestar, the Swedish electric hopeful, has become a warning sign. Since 2022, its share price has fallen 83%. Volvo, once its largest supporter, has reduced its stake from 48% to 18%. In 2025, Polestar cut 15% of its workforce and now depends on Geely's bailout funds to survive. Suppliers demand upfront payment, lawsuits over unpaid bills are mounting, and with no breakout model, the brand's fate hangs on Geely's willingness to absorb more losses. If support dries up, Polestar could vanish in a single quarter. Nissan itself is now in the danger zone. The company lost $5.3 billion in 2024, with $3.5 billion coming from its U.S. division. Cash reserves have dropped below $11 billion, while net debt stands at $25 billion. With $6.4 billion in bonds due by the end of 2026, half within 18 months, Nissan's failed merger with Honda has left it exposed. Suppliers report late payments, and asset sales are rumored just to keep payroll afloat. Fisker's collapse is unfolding in real time. The company missed an $8.4 million bond payment, burned through its cash, and failed to secure a rescue. By July 2025, SEC filings warned survival was unlikely past the next quarter. Over 70% of Ocean SUVs built in 2024 are under recall, but parts are unavailable and service centers are closing. Suppliers demand cash up front, production has stopped, and the brand's fate is nearly sealed. Owning a car from a dying brand is like watching your investment evaporate in real time. As soon as bankruptcy rumors hit, the costs for everyday drivers start stacking up. Parts prices jump overnight. In 2025, electronic control units for orphaned brands, like Polestar and Alfa Romeo, tripled in price on the secondary market. Battery packs for Fisker and Lucid models shot up by 400% within months. Owners desperate for repairs turned to salvage yards, eBay, or even 3D printed parts, hoping to keep their cars on the road a little longer. But for many, even that isn't enough. Insurance companies get nervous fast. When a brand collapses, major insurers either hike premiums or refuse new policies entirely. They know that if your car needs a recall or a rare part, the repair might never happen. In 2025, several national insurers dropped comprehensive and collision coverage for Fisker, Polestar, and late-model Infiniti vehicles. For owners, that means driving without a safety net, or paying thousands more for a policy, if you can get one at all. Resale value is the next casualty. Auction houses and used car managers treat these vehicles like radioactive waste. After Saab's collapse in 2011, late-model 9.5s lost 60% of their value in 6 months. The same pattern is playing out now. Fisker Oceans, Polestar 2s, and Infiniti QX60s are fetching 40 to 70% less than book value at auction. Dealers refuse trade-ins or offer only scrap prices. Leaseholders find their end-of-term buyout is underwater by thousands. For regular families, that's money gone for good. Then there's the tech. For new electric and connected cars, bankruptcy can kill over-the-air updates, remote features, and even basic safety systems. Once the servers go dark, smart features become useless, turning a $100,000 Lucid into a brick with wheels. Owners are left with no support, no updates, and no way to fix bugs or safety defects. The real pain isn't just financial, it's the sense of betrayal. Hard-working people who paid extra for peace of mind only to be stranded when the company cashes out. The executives walk away with bonuses, while teachers, nurses, and small business owners are left to pick up the pieces. In this game, the rules are rigged. They get golden parachutes, you get a worthless warranty, and a car nobody wants. That's the cost of trusting a badge instead of the balance sheet. In the past year alone, more than 60,000 automotive jobs have been cut, and over 1,200 dealerships have closed or changed ownership. Numbers confirmed by official filings and automotive industry reports. We've seen brands that helped build the American car market now facing double-digit sales drops, mounting recalls, and cash reserves that can't keep up with debt. The evidence is clear. When car companies collapse, it is the everyday buyer who pays the price, with vanishing warranties, parts shortages, and plummeting resale values. Despite these facts, the full list of brands preparing bankruptcy filings remains sealed behind closed doors, and many corporate decisions are kept from public view. What is certain is that the warning signs, like shrinking dealer networks, supplier cash demands, and sudden factory shutdowns, have appeared before every major brand exit in modern automotive history. The record shows, when companies put profits over people, it's the consumer left stranded. Subscribe and download our free guide in the description to protect yourself from becoming the next victim.